Hey there, it's Jennifer from the blog The Everyday Farmhouse. Today I'm doing something a little bit different. I have been collecting footage of our addition, the process of adding onto our home. And I have been so hesitant to put the video together because I just didn't have a vision for how it would be. I'm used to doing tutorials where I'm teaching you how to do something. And for this, I am not a builder. I don't have expertise in that field. Our contractor is a friend of the family, and our second oldest son works on his crew. So I have some insight, and I think there's some things that I can share. But I certainly can't do a tutorial on building. But I can give you my perspective. That's what my husband said. Give the perspective of doing a major renovation on a home while you're homeschooling, and just share what that's like and what the challenges are, and then just also share the process. And so that's what I'm doing. The house that we live in now was built in 1920. We lived here 12 years, going on 13 years now. And when we bought the home, we've always tried to live within our means, never wanted to be house poor. And so we bought a home that we knew at the time was probably not going to be adequate for the future. We had 5 children when we bought this home. We had allowed God to plan our family, so we knew there were probably more children in the future. And we have had 5 more children here, so we have 10 children. The house is approximately 2,700 square feet, which is a nice size house. The problem that we have with the house is that most of the bedrooms upstairs where the kids stay were attic space that was converted into bedrooms. So all the ceilings are very slanted. Many of the walls are about 22 inches high. It makes it challenging to get dressers in there. There's only 2 closets upstairs. So we have 3 girls in 1 bedroom that has no closet. So just keeping things organized has been just next to impossible. We've tried different systems. We also knew the dining room was going to be inadequate. I remember when we bought the house, imagining ways that we could expand and make the dining room bigger. So this has been in the works for years in our mind anyway. We had plans drawn up about 4 years ago. And of course, that was right in the middle of COVID, or right before COVID when we had them drawn up. And so things were just astronomically priced, and we couldn't do it then. Things have not come down an awful lot, but they have come down some. So we're not doing this debt-free like so many people who are very inspiring do. We are taking a loan for this, but we're doing it, we're limiting ourselves and are only allowing ourselves so much before we continue. So we're staying within a pretty tight budget. And that means that we might get it framed and have to wait a while until we finish the inside, until we have money saved or things paid down. So that'll be the process that I'm sharing. Our mudroom, I've done projects on that. It's also pretty small for what we have going on. We use it as pantry overflow, laundry room, mudroom, and there's a little bathroom back there too. So there's definitely areas that we wanted to improve on with this house, but we weren't interested in moving. We like our property. That's what attracted us to this place to begin with. We knew the house was probably going to need to have some changes to make it work for us. Now, our 2 oldest sons live in an apartment now to be near school and work. So we have 8 children still at home, and nobody has plans in the immediate future to go anywhere. So some people have said to us, oh, why are you adding on now? You have kids moving out of the house. Well, as your family grows, you realize that you only have more people in the house. They bring their friends. Hopefully they will have husbands and wives. We'll have grandchildren someday. We want a home that can accommodate everybody. And for us, that's going to look different because of the size of our family. So I'm not saying that our house is tiny to begin with or anything like that. It's just that we needed more space to make it as comfortable as it can be. We do have a barn that we put on the property that has a loft upstairs that we use when we host big events or when we have church here on Sunday. It's a huge blessing. We're so glad to have it. there's challenges with that. The food has to be carried up there. There's no running water. There's no bathroom. So it's not completely ideal, but it is so nice to have that space, and we certainly use it. So I have videos on that if you're interested in seeing that as well. So I'm just going to share the footage that I have. This will be broken up into parts. This first video is going to be obviously the history and why we're doing this. And I'll share the groundwork and pouring the foundation. One of the things we did that was kind of unique is we dug under the house, or they dug under the house. My husband wanted the current basement, which is just the size of one room. It houses like our hot water heater, the bladder for the well, and the water softener. And there's not a lot of room down there. Like I said, it's just a small square room, and the rest is crawl space. But he really wanted to connect that. In the addition, we dug a basement so that we could have our extra freezers down there. As of now, the freezer is out in the garage, so if we need things out of the freezer, we raise our own meat. If we need to get food out, we're going across the driveway to get meat out of the freezer, which is, an American inconvenience. It's not a huge inconvenience, but it would be nice to have a basement and to have those things accessible from the kitchen. So we are adding about 2,200 square feet onto the house, plus the basement. And it's going to be, the downstairs will be dining room and kitchen. And then upstairs we're adding 2 bedrooms, a bath, and I think we're going to be able to have a small laundry room up there as well. So I'm excited to share all of this with you. I hope it's helpful if anybody else is doing an addition. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll do my best to answer them. I'll try to share the why of the decisions we made along the way. Also, there's some things interspersed. Our current home, we're adding on, but at the same time, all the windows in our home were rotting out. They were wood windows with the, aluminum clad on the outside. And I don't know if they weren't installed properly or what, but they were rotting out, like literally the wood falling off of them. So in the meantime, my husband's been replacing the windows in our current home, and it will also get new siding as the money is there and as we are able to do that. So it's a lot of steps. It's a huge project. We're happy to be doing it. Our kids are our oldest is 22, our youngest is 4. So we're at a little better place than we were even 5 years ago, where we don't have babies, and we can devote some time to working on our home. And it's really great to have older kids who are super helpful too. So like I said, let me know if you have any questions, and we'll get into the footage that I have so far. So this is pretty much where we started. This is our house before we started digging. The only thing we had done so far was I had my son dig up I had 4 big Rosa Sharon bushes over here on the side of the house that were just beautiful, but we were able to salvage them. He dug them up in the spring before we started digging. So the front of the house is pretty cute, but this side over here has always bothered us, and we almost didn't even look at this house when we were moving to the area because the real estate agent had this view of the house on the listing, and it just looked so awkward. And obviously the house has been added on to. It was built in 1920, and the back part there with the low roof that you can see, that's the kitchen. That was clearly added on, and they did not do a complete second story. All the bedrooms upstairs were just converted attic. So when we bought the house, we didn't buy at the top of our price range or anything. We bought what we could easily afford, and we knew that the house would most likely need to be added on to eventually. Obviously the siding and windows are worse for wear, needing to be replaced as well, and so we're going to tackle that along with the addition. And the roof is pretty new, just a few years old. My husband's going to redo that chimney up there as well. So this is what we're starting with. It's a good house. This is when they ripped the porch off, or started to, the first railing. So the kids are getting excited about the changes happening, and it's going to get pretty crazy after this. The first thing we had to deal with was moving our septic tank and getting a bigger one. Ours was entirely too small. it was a little bit under the house and in the way of where the addition was going. In hindsight, I wish we would have researched this more. Ours was concrete. We should have gone with another concrete one that could be buried. This plastic one was available, and we were trying to beat rain when he was doing the project, so we just went with what was available. The problem with the plastic tanks is that the top has to be exposed, and so those circular things there on the top are actually above ground level, which could be a bit of an eyesore. I think we'll be able to manage it with, just planting grass around it, but not our first choice. But you live and learn with those things, so maybe this can help somebody else to not make the same mistake that we did. You have to be careful, of course, not to drive over them or anything like that. So it's in a place that works well for that. This was the first day, first dig when they started, and thankfully our contractor is a friend of the family, so our little boys got to ride along and help. There were some big trees to remove, but this is very exciting just to see things happening, and of course him letting the boys ride along is very fun. So this is all he used for digging, and he had his son with him that helped with moving the dirt, and the pile just grew enormous as this project went on. Okay, so this is a sketch or the drawing of our house, what it's supposed to look like when it's all done. Over on the right-hand side is what the existing house is represented, and then everything on the left there is the addition. So it's really like another house with that much square footage. Some of our concerns you can see in the next drawing. We're a little bit concerned with how the roof is going to look on the addition part, whether it's going to be just too drastically different from the other side. Our hope was that it would kind of mirror it, but with the size, it's really just not going to. It's not going to look as symmetrical as we'd like. Up there along the top, the roof line will kind of come in closer to those dormers than the other side, and there's some things we kind of wished we would have changed. It's too late now, but maybe added a hallway or something rather than just going straight into the addition. But it'll be fine. We'll be happy to have this space, and it doesn't have to look perfect. This is the floor plan, what we're planning to do with it. So it'll be a new kitchen and dining area. And then where our existing kitchen is, that's going to be mudroom and pantry. We ended up adding 8 feet to our original plans to connect the basement. And so that gave us kind of a really wide kitchen, which you wouldn't think you could have too much space in a kitchen, but you really could. You don't want it so far that you're walking, like taking a hike to go from the kitchen to the refrigerator on the other side. So we had the stairs drawn into the kitchen. Originally, if you can see up in the top corner, there's like a little circle up there. That was where the stairs were originally going to be, and we had them moved. And this is just the upstairs area. This is the upstairs area where we are planning 2 bedrooms, a bathroom, and a little laundry area. I thought it would be nice to maybe move the laundry from downstairs, having it upstairs. Our kids do their own laundry, and just thinking it would be really nice to just have it there off the bedrooms. There'll also be a little landing area there, and hopefully it's all going to connect. I'll do a walkthrough eventually of the upstairs of our house. It's never presentable, so I've been really hesitant to walk through with the camera, but I think it would help to kind of see what we're working with up there, and how it'll tie in. Hopefully it'll tie in well. I think with an addition, you just never know, but we're going to do our best, and the opening the floor should all be level, so that's good. So this is just more footage of all the groundwork, and some of this my kids took, so some of it might be a little bit shaky, but you can see the piles are just getting bigger and bigger, and there is, I believe, the finished basement. Now this is prior to opening up to connecting it to the house. So you can see there, that wall there below is going to be busted out, and it's going to connect the new basement to the old little basement. This is where it started getting pretty loud and crazy. So essentially they had to break out that section of porch and to open up underneath that. So he had this attachment for his excavator, and it worked pretty well for busting out the sidewall. And then they had to make cuts on the top and bust out that whole sidewalk. It felt a little wasteful, honestly. Like, oh my goodness, we're busting up perfectly good porch. But yeah, it's all for progress, so you do what you have to do. But the boys, of course, enjoyed this very much. So what we found when they got into this is that the dining room there, which is what's behind those windows, was just built on a slab. So essentially it was a part of a porch, we think, that they built the dining room on top of. So that was a little bit unexpected and they had to shore up the dining room quite a lot once they got all the pack sand dug out. This turned out to be kind of a surprise. We were actually out of town when they found this. This was an old set of stairs. You can see where they put the posts to hold up the dining room just to make sure. He did a really great job with that. But they got to this place. This is before the exterior wall of the basement, and found this set of stairs. So we had to make a decision on whether we wanted to continue, and we decided that we did. Yes, go ahead and continue, do the extra work of busting that out, and let's continue on to the current basement so that they can be connected and just make life much easier for everything, taking salt in and out of the softener and everything like that. I'll show eventually in a video that how we get into the basement before this is dug, and you would see why we did it. In the meantime, my husband and sons are changing out all the windows in the rest of the house. Next, the concrete crew arrived and they set the forms for the footers and began the work of doing that. So next they poured the footers, which was pretty exciting to watch. They brought in the big pumper so that they could get underneath there. And it seemed a bit like overkill, but I guess it was necessary. And the kids, of course, were enthralled with this. The guy standing there has like a remote that he controls, I guess, the flow of the concrete and everything. So this was pretty neat to see. This was about the only rain we got during the whole time, we can see there. So we were pretty thankful. This process of the concrete was extremely slow. They seemed like a good crew, but it took forever for them to come. It seemed like we waited weeks and weeks, and then there would just be short days and just a few days worked a week. So this process took a couple months to actually get to the point where we had the basement poured. And just this week, which is middle of October, they finally came to clean their stuff up. So I think they're just extremely busy, which, you know, it's understandable. We live in a rural area. So anyway, this was fun to watch, and we are glad it finally got done. Next, they set all the forms, which was a lot of work. I didn't realize how that was done. And after all the forms were set and the pipe was run through, we have pipes going all around the foundation to help move water away. Then they brought the pumper truck back and poured the walls. You would be amazed at how these guys move around. This is just the kids tearing off. We started to tear off the porch because eventually the porch will have to be cut off for the next stage. Not the front of the porch, just that side porch will have to be cut off. So the kids are happy to do whatever they can to help. And this, you know, demolition stuff is always fun. And yes, my kids are always barefoot. So anyway. Before we had the floor poured, we put down insulation, and we also put insulation around the outside of the walls, just this foam, pink foam insulation, and just our family did this, and of course it was lots of fun. And then it was time for the floor to be poured. So the pumper truck was back again, and got to see this whole process, which is pretty interesting. It's so much work, but it goes so quickly. So this is the basement essentially done. The black that you see painted on the outside is tar. It's a waterproof barrier between the ground and the concrete to keep water from seeping through. And this is the guy just finishing the floor. Okay, so now the foundation is done, except we have two small walls to connect the old foundation, or the old house with the new foundation, and they'll just be little walls. The space is 8 feet between the house and the addition so that the roof line lined up better. It would have been really crowded if it was butted right up next to it, and I guess it was just easier to work, easier to pour the foundation and all that, to have room to work. And you can see they have to backfill here. This part is where they're cutting through the wall of the house to open up into the old basement, which is, you can see in there, it's just small, one little room. And it took them part of a Saturday to get through, cut that opening, but they made it through, and they ended up pouring a little step. Okay, so my husband put a little door on there too, and then the last thing for them to do was to pour the little wall. And in the meantime, my husband and sons worked on changing out some of the siding on the dormers up above. And so that'll bring us to the end here. This section and next up, we're gonna start framing. So that'll be really neat to see that come to life, and I'll be happy to share all of that with you in the next video.